Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. And it's a very special show we've got for you today. We're joined by Tier 1 fan favourite journalist Fabrizio Romano. How are you, Fabrizio?
Hello, everyone. Thank you again. I'm so happy to be here with you. And I'm okay. Thank you. Not easy situation here in Italy, but we are strong and we will go as in England, as in all over the world. We are convinced we will do it. And I'm happy to be with you, really.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a shout out to United Report as well, at UTD Report on Twitter. We've got their links in the video description as well. It's thanks to them in association with the United Stand that we've arranged this interview with Fabrizio today. So big shout out to them. Links are in the video description. But we're going to do it a little bit different. We will talk about some of the transfer stuff. We were just talking before we came on air then about Bruno in the summer and how Fabrizio stayed quiet about it because there's a quote that I saw of yours last summer, Fabrizio, and it was, "My life is to find news and make sure it's right." I'll let you speak. As somebody who is held in such respect, especially amongst football fans, how does that work for you? How does your job work in that sense? Because you pride yourself on getting things right rather than just saying something about something.
I think the same respect you give to football fans is the same respect you have to give when you speak with some agents, with some director of football clubs, with some president, with some player also sometimes. So my mentality is to try to give you the best info always, the best news always, but giving respect to my sources. I will never say my sources to anyone is the first rule in my job, because you have to be respected. As you give respect, you have to give respected to be respected by the people of football, and that's the first thing. How I do it? Calling people. That's my job. That's my life. I always spend my days calling people, calling agents, calling directors, and giving respect to everyone means also when someone is not in the best moment of his career, and I don't speak about players, but I speak about agents, I speak about directors, sporting directors of the club. It can happen that someone in this moment is not in a good moment of his career, but in 2 years, in 3 years, he will be a sporting director to an important club all over Europe, like in England, like in Italy. So I try to have the best relationship with the people I contact, I call, and that's my mentality. I try to be always with them also when we are not speaking about football, because many agents and many directors tell me, yes, it's easy when journalists call me and say, okay, I need the news now. It's true, it's not true, but it's not easy to see someone calling me like at Christmas, like when it's my birthday, and say me, how are you? And we are speaking just about my family or something like this. You have to be human, as I am with the fans, and I hope the fans appreciate it. I try to be the same with people of football, because it's normal when you call someone just to have a news, they feel like used just for your job and for your work. I try to get the best also from the person, to have a friendship with this kind of people, and that's my mentality to try to give you the best news every day.
And I think what's interesting as well is I was looking at your social media as I always do, and I saw on, maybe it was Saturday, you were talking about Thomas Partey and saying that Atletico Madrid, Simeone want to keep him, but Thomas will make the decision. And I don't know whether you'd seen it this afternoon, but there was a source from, I think it was from Ghana, which is obviously where he plays, saying that Thomas Partey is now looking at the Premier League. It will be his decision, and he loves the fact that Manchester United are interested in him. And then straight away, I thought, Fabrizio was talking about this 3 days ago, and I always felt that maybe Partey would stay at Atletico Madrid, but that consistency, that professionalism, and obviously the connections that you have, not just in Italy, but all around the world is really important. And time again, you are right.
Yes, because it's, when you start to give right news and to show respect, as I told you, many people all over the world now live on social media, and that's the reality. Also sport director, also agents, they look at social media as they were looking at papers or TV some years ago. Now they also look at social media, so they can see my job is, and my work is always respectful and is always correct. So I can get in contact with this kind of people, also not just in Italy, because it's normal. I started with Italy, with Italian people, and we are lucky because Italian people in football are so respected, and they also go to England, as you see, with many managers, but not only, also sporting directors. And the same happens with Spain or with France. For example, Leonardo, the Paris Saint-Germain director, has been many years here in Italy, and so it's normal when you start to having contacts, you can get it also not just in Italy but also in other countries. So yes, you were doing the example of Thomas Partey. Yes, it's normal when you see someone is reporting something a bit different from you. I try to make people understand I have my info, yes, but I try to be correct to telling you what is happening now. You have to know in transfer market, everything can change. But I try to say, when I say, here we go, it cannot change. It's impossible. It will change. That's my idea. I try to do it. Then impossible is never, because can happen a player goes to sign a contract and then they say, okay, I want to go to another place. It happens in transfer market. So it's normal. But at the moment, my mentality is to say, when I say, here we go, the deal is totally done, it's completed. Then when I say something different, everything can happen, because in transfer football it's normal. So I try to give the best news in this moment. It can change, but I try to always be respected by people, because I want to be without selling dreams, as we say in Italy. And I don't want to sell dreams. I just want to give you my info correct. And then if Manchester United, as other teams, the fans are happy about the players are coming or not, it's not my fault. But I see many persons say, oh, why Fabrizio? Why you don't say he's coming, he's not coming? It's normal, I think. But I try to be most correct I can.
I know. I think every tweet I see that you do, there's always a reply about it was Bruno last summer. It's Pogba, it's Sancho. But it's just very quickly, has there ever been a time where you've said, here we go, and it's not happened? Or have you got 100% success rate with that?
I think no. I was trying to remember, like 2 days ago with my friend. He told me, the same question. Have you ever said, here we go, and it didn't happen? But I think no, because the Here We Go started just like 2 years ago, and I didn't started it like a brand, now it's like a brand. Yes, but I didn't started it saying, okay, I will say here we go, so we can do a brand of my person. No, it was just to say, here we go. I appreciated it first time. I see people were saying, here we go, when we had something. And so it started like this. And I think, no, I didn't have a transfer with the different of the Here We Go. So at the moment, I think no. I hope it will never happen. But as I told you, I see many stories in transfer market. Also now, years by years, it is changing. It can happen. A player is going to sign a contract, as I told you, with an important team, and then he receives a call from another club, and okay, I go to another club. I remember Kondogbia, the French midfielder. He was going to AC Milan, and then 2 hours ago, he accepted to go to Inter. So everything can change in football, but I try to be the most correct I can, as I told.
I certainly think you're doing a fantastic job with regards to that. We're going to talk about Manchester United a little bit later and potentially some players there. But I think this afternoon, I know you're in Italy. We've been speaking for a couple of weeks, and the situation there is very sad, and it's very, very sad here. But we work in the football industry, and I suppose it's our escapism from what's going on, and we hope football will come back. I saw today that the French league has effectively suspended or cancelled or voided. I don't want to upset Liverpool fans, because I know they're very worried about this happening at the moment. But the situation in Italy, and I know it's only your thoughts, do you think we will see football back this summer, where the Serie A is completed, Premier League, or do you think the French league ending it is probably an indication of what might be to come for Italy and England?
I think what is happening with the French league, yes, is a possible indication, because here in Italy we have a terrible situation. Is as you say, this is something so sad also for the normal people, not just about sport, but is something terrible to live in this moment in Italy, and to looking out, and you see like a horror film and a horror movie. So at the moment it's impossible to say something about football, because here clubs of Serie A are going to try again to come back to play, because they need money, they need to restart, also to decide something like who will go to the Champions League, who will go to the Europa League. They have to decide many things. But at the moment, I think what happened with France, and the same with Holland, and the same with Belgium, is going to tell us it will be difficult, I think, to see football this summer. And as you told, I think we are part of football industry. So in our mentality, we hope it will be back because we need it. And also as fans, not just the journalists, but we need it. We need to see football. We need to be happy. We need to be played to look at players, and it's normal. But if you think as normal people and not as football fans, you can understand in this moment playing football is something unreal for what we are going to live on next month and what we are living now. So here in Italy in particular, we have a terrible situation. We have some cities like Bergamo, who is the city, of Atalanta, and who is having a fantastic season. Also Champions League is a fantastic team. I love Atalanta really because they play a fantastic football. They have a great manager, but in this moment they had many problems with this coronavirus. So if you think to play football in 1 month in Bergamo is something unreal. So I think it will be so difficult to restart. Yes.
I suppose, well, I know from my Italian roots as well, and obviously you are Italian. Football is, it's almost on the, it's almost on the dinner table, isn't it? It's part of everyday life. And I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, look, Italian football, English football, especially Spanish football as well, the governments will know that this is, it's not just football, it's making feel better, but it's going to be a massive challenge, isn't it? The big thing which obviously impacts on the work you do is the transfer market this summer. And how do you think, you spoke about some Italian clubs needing the money, that will be the case in England. I think certainly the French league, I was quite interested by that because I sort of thought, well, when you look at the transfer window, you look at a team like, for example, Lille or Rennes or something like that. They've got some good players. They're now not going to be back playing. Are there potential bargains there? Will people buy them? But what impact do you think this coronavirus is going to have on the transfer market? Do you think it will be a quiet transfer market, or do you think there'll be a lot of clubs that have to sell because of the financial situation they're in?
I think it will be a different transfer market, so different. What I check also speaking with people of football, with sporting directors, with agents, it will be so different. For example, here in Italy and also in Spain, in England, everywhere, when you try to sign a player, you meet the player, you meet the agent, you meet between clubs. Now to have a meeting, to schedule a meeting in this moment is so difficult. So also, it's also a matter of time. When we can be back to do something like this summer, we must do some FaceTime or video chat to speak between clubs. It will be different, a different transfer market about it, but it will be a different transfer market about also the mentality of the clubs and the money we will have in this transfer market. I think we will have many swap deals, many players going from a top team to another top team. I think like Juventus and Barcelona, in my opinion, to make you an example of two important clubs, are going to do something together. So I give you one player like Arthur, can be the Brazilian midfielder, and you give me another player like Miralem Pjanic. I am doing examples, but they are speaking about it. What players you can appreciate, what players you can get from me. So they are speaking between great clubs just to understand they can do swap deals, because in this moment to think about big moves in Europe is so difficult. You know, also Barcelona, to give you another example of a top club, were wanting to do an important offer to Inter Milan to sign Lautaro Martinez. He's a fantastic striker in my opinion, and Barcelona were going, okay, we want to try to negotiate to 100 million euro to speak about it. Then we had the coronavirus, and Barcelona in this moment can go to spend this kind of money. So I think it will be so different for top clubs because of this, because they can't in this moment going to spend this kind of money, and they need time to understand what will happen. As you asked me about football will be back, football will not be back. We will have Champions League, we don't. Europa League the same for other clubs. So in this moment they are waiting to understand what will happen on next month. We can spend money, we will have football back. So every club is now waiting. Every club is wondering the possibility of do swap deals. I speak about top clubs. The real problem is for middle clubs, I think because middle club, when they have important players, I think here in Italy, like Tonali for Brescia, who is not an important team here in Italy, but they have a fantastic player like Tonali. I hope to see him at top level because he will be a fantastic midfielder really for many, many years. And in this moment, they can't keep him. It's impossible. And they can't ask for 50 million euro or 60 million euro for him. They have to sell him with a different way, like for 30 million euro with one player inside to have a young talent for next year. But everything will change for middle clubs and for top club also, because they need time to understand what will happen, and they need to consider also to do swap deals, because in this moment it's impossible to think as transfer market as 3 months ago. It's impossible. It's another world, and it's another transfer market.
That's very interesting that you talk about swap deals, because on our show we get the comments from the viewers, and a lot of them, probably over the last 5 years I've been doing it, do talk about swap deals a lot. And I always say, swap deals, I think about Alexis Sanchez and Mkhitaryan. They're very difficult to do. I don't think we'll see those days really being happening a lot. And then you are talking about that, because it makes a lot of sense, because if you do the swap deal of, well, we'll talk about Pogba in a bit, but if you do the swap deal, like you said, between Barcelona and Juventus for Pjanic and Artur, they're roughly the same price. It's rather than saying, we'll give you 100 million for Pjanic, which is then a lot of money. So you actually do the swap deal, which lessens the financial blow, I suppose. So yeah, you think we'll see a lot more of that?
Yes, I think yes. It will be normal also to include players in important deals, because I think the value of the players, as I told you, can change for not top players, like good players, important players also, like I told you about Tonali for middle club. But when you speak about a top club, a Champions League club, it's difficult to think they can do a lower price for the important players. So I think in this moment, the top clubs will speak about swap deals, and including in players also. If a top club wants to sign a top player, they have to include many players they can, like 1 or 2, to try to not spend money on the summer, and to think something different, because in this moment they really are losing money every day. As I told you about Barcelona, I have a friend in Barcelona, and he told me, working in Barcelona, and he told me we are losing like 4 or 5 million euro every day since it started from coronavirus. So, you know, you have ticketing, you have the stadium, you have the fans, you have the merchandising. It's not just about transfer market. It's also about the World Club is having a problem in this moment. And when I say Barcelona, it's the same for Manchester United, for all top clubs in the world. So in this moment, they have to wait a little bit, and then they can go to understand how much I can spend, how is the budget for next summer, and then we will see what will happen also in transfer market. That's what I say in this moment. Speaking about top players is unreal, because we can say, yes, this club won this player, but we can't say now, okay, they are going to make this offer, because it's not true. Because in this moment, they are just waiting. They need some weeks, and then we will start with the real transfer market, I think.
It's interesting because Jadon Sancho is a player you get asked about all the time, obviously. I was told 2 weeks ago by somebody that with regards to Jadon Sancho, Manchester United want to be at the front of the queue for him. Sancho wants to come to the Premier League if the situation is right, but Dortmund want 100 million plus. You talk about swap deals there. I mean, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, I want Manchester United to sign Jadon Sancho, I do, but if I worry about whether Manchester United or any club, and I think the Dortmund's Michael Zorc, isn't it? The director said that yesterday. We're relaxed because who's going to pay the money?
That's true. I think that's true. That's why I am saying about Jadon Sancho, when people ask me, the reality in this moment, what I know in this moment is that Manchester United are in love with Jadon Sancho. The management of Manchester United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, saying everyone at Manchester United are in love with Jadon Sancho, and they want to sign him. And I think if coronavirus was not going to affect this transfer market, I think Manchester United were going to do an important offer for him on next summer. Now is another word. So, you know, Manchester United are still in contact with this agent, are speaking with Jadon Sancho. They know the contract of the player will not be a problem, because Jadon Sancho knows Manchester United is a top team. So when you have to give a contract to a player like this, when you start to speak with a player like this, you know the contract is the last problem, because Manchester United are sure Jadon Sancho can accept their bid. The real problem, as you told, is between Manchester United and Borussia Dortmund, but it's not Manchester United problem. It's the same problem for Barcelona with Inter for Lautaro. It's the same problem with Mbappe and with Haaland, with top players. It's impossible on next summer to think a top club in this moment. And then I don't know, in 1 month, we hope it will change, but I think no. But in this moment, it's impossible to think a club will go to spend a lot of money for this kind of players. They are fantastic players, like Jadon Sancho, but in this moment, Borussia Dortmund, as you told, is so relaxed because they know the player has an important value, and they can think, okay, stay here 1 year more, then next summer, in 1 year, we will see if someone will put the money, okay, it will be another word. We hope coronavirus is no more here, so we can do it in another moment. Why we have to sell Sancho and to a lower price in this moment? Impossible. They ask 100 million euro and they want 100 million euro in this moment. So I think it will be so difficult to get Jadon Sancho, but at the same moment, we are not working for Manchester United. So my role is to say what Manchester United are going to do. I am not working with Manchester United or with any club. So at this moment, they are in contact with this agent. They are waiting to speak with Borussia Dortmund because they need to understand what is the budget, what is going to happen with football. When they will need it, they will consider the Jadon Sancho option like others. So in this moment, Borussia Dortmund are relaxed because they didn't receive any bid from Manchester United, from any other club, because they need time as other clubs, for sure.
I tell you what, if Borussia Dortmund want to do any swap deals for Jadon Sancho, I've got a good list of like Phil Jones, Alexis Sanchez, these sort of players would be very good for Dortmund. But yeah, you're right. It's a bit like Romeo and Juliet, isn't it? They were in love, Manchester United and Sancho, but if there's something that stops that deal, it stops that deal. So we'll see what happens with that. You mentioned coronavirus, and it's obviously had a big impact on people's plans. I remember saying on the channel a couple of years ago that the Griezmann to Manchester United deal had been worked on for a very long time. Then Atletico Madrid got the transfer ban and Griezmann decided to stay at the last minute. And there will have been deals that were worked on up until March that have now, well, do you think that there are deals, whether it's United, whether it's Neymar, Mbappe, do you think that there were deals in place that will now not happen because of coronavirus? Do you think that it has stopped deals from happening?
You mean about Manchester United or other clubs?
You know, whether it's a Neymar or anybody. Do you think?
I think the Lautaro Martinez one is the perfect example in this moment, because I know it very well because he's here in Italy with Inter, and really I think he's a fantastic striker. We will speak about Lautaro Martinez for many and many years because he remembers me about Hernan Crespo, the other Argentinian striker. He also has something of Luis Suarez. He's a terrific striker, really. He scores, he plays for the team, he's always concentrated. So Inter, in February, before coronavirus, were convinced Barcelona were going to match the release clause. So to spend like 111 million euro for Lautaro Martinez. In this moment is totally another world. And the deal, in my opinion, at this condition, it's not going to happen. What is doing Barcelona now is going to say, okay, you want some player, Junior Firpo, the left back, you want the Arthur, the midfielder, you want Alenya, the midfield. So they are speaking about swap deals because that's the only way they can try to get the player. But at this moment, what I told you about Jadon Sancho for Borussia Dortmund is the same for Inter with Lautaro. Why I have to sell this player now? If he doesn't want to leave immediately, he's not desperate to leave the club. Why I have to let him go now? I wait for some like 12 months and I can sell him with a better price. So in this moment, I think the Lautaro example is perfect to make you understand. In February, it was a deal going to be really with huge possibilities of being done. And now in this moment, it's so complicated. So I think we need to wait a bit before understand what top clubs like Manchester United and other top clubs can do on transfer market, because they need time and they need also to know if football will be back, because this is important also for the timing of transfer market. In this moment, we don't know when transfer market really will start. Because if we will have football on next summer and also Champions League, for example, Europa League on next summer in August, because UEFA are working to do it in August, we can't have transfer market during this period. So we need to have it in September, and we have 4 months. So it's something different, everything different. So we need time to understand, and the same is for the clubs. So in this moment, we can speak about interest for players. We can speak about contact with agents, as we said, between Manchester United and Jadon Sancho, but we can say Manchester United are in talks with Borussia Dortmund for Sancho, in serious talks, making an offer, making a bid, because in this moment, they are just waiting to understand what is going to happen.
And we talk about Martinez there as a player that was potentially on the move to Barcelona before this. What's your thoughts on another Manchester United player, Paul Pogba? Because we've seen his agent talking about Real Madrid. We've had Juventus. We've had maybe talk of a new contract now that coronavirus has hit. We've had swap deals with Juventus. We've had 5 Juventus players mentioned. We've had Real Madrid. How do you see that situation with Pogba and Manchester United at the moment?
For example, when we speak about coronavirus, how it's affecting transfer market, I think Pogba is another sample because, Mino Raiola and Manchester United had a meeting scheduled in the start of April, so some weeks ago, and they can't have this meeting because it's normal when we have coronavirus, it's another war. So in this moment, they are waiting to speak about the situation of Paul, as we told, because as I told for Lautaro, for Pogba, I am sure about what I'm saying. Juventus made Pogba their top target for next summer. Since January, they started to think, okay, next summer, one year ago, we signed De Ligt from Ajax. 2 years ago, we signed Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, next summer, we want to sign Paul Pogba. They are always targeting one top player every year to be one of the best team in the world. So Juventus were going to make a bid, but to Paul Pogba, they know Paul Pogba wants to come back in Italy. He would be happy to come back to Italy. So in this moment, they are having a different situation because they also know Manchester United, as we said for Sancho for Borussia Dortmund, and the same for Inter about Lautaro, why Manchester United must let Pogba leave in this moment with a lower price than 100 million euro. It's impossible. Manchester United, they say, okay, you want Pogba, you have to pay for Paul Pogba. We are not going to make also swap deals. I think it will be complicated because, as you told before, it's not easy to speak between top clubs when you try to get top players, because if we speak about middle level players, it's normal. You can find an agreement. It will be easier. But when you speak about Pogba, who is a fantastic top player, it's not easy for Juventus also to get some players that can be interesting for Manchester United. There is the problem also of the wage of the players, of the salary, because we have also to consider also Juventus has a salary amount so big in this moment. They have Ronaldo, they have De Ligt, they have Higuain, they have Dybala. So it's difficult for a top club in this moment to get another player like Paul Pogba. So we will see what will happen. But at the moment, Manchester United haven't received any bid from Juventus. And I am sure, and I am totally sure, that if coronavirus was not here, Juventus in this moment, today, without coronavirus, we're going to start talks with Manchester United, for sure.
That's interesting because everyone always mentions Real Madrid in relation to Pogba, but I'd seen you mention Juventus before. Do you feel that Real Madrid are just not in that race then? Do you think Pogba would be happy?
No. Manchester United. Sorry, Real Madrid is always interested in Pogba, and are always interested in Pogba, as also is always interested in Zinedine Zidane because he's the main sponsor. Florentino Perez has not a fantastic relationship with Mino Raiola. That's the real problem. Juventus are doing many business with Mino Raiola, as I told you, De Ligt and many in this year. Still, they have many players with him, and the director of Juventus, Fabio Paratici, has a strong relationship with him. Real Madrid with Mino Raiola didn't need any deal on like 5 years, 6 years. They are not going to do deal. So in this moment, that's the problem. But Zidane is always a big fan of Pogba. So I think if Pogba will be on the market next summer, Manchester United will decide. They didn't do it right now, but if they will decide, okay, we are going to sell him, Real Madrid will be in for sure. But I think Juventus will also be in because they have a relationship with Raiola. Pogba knows Juventus word is something good for him. He has many friends at Juventus. So it will be Real Madrid against Juventus. I think yes. But Manchester United have to decide the future of Pogba. And at the moment, I am not sure he's going to leave Manchester United. Nothing has been decided. They will meet with Raiola and they will decide also with the player.
Could be a new contract. Fingers crossed. He could sign a new contract. We'll see. I wanted to. There's a few things I want to talk about, but Italian football is something I followed for a long time, and it's a personal question. This one, Verratti plays for PSG, Italian midfielder. We over the last couple of years, the United stand community just love sort of finding the next big player wherever it is, and we had Barella. He was a Cagliari, was he? Barella?
Yes.
Bernardeschi, Fiorentina. And our viewers were talking about them saying, these are great players, bring good young players, bring them to Manchester United. And I've always said, I've watched a lot of Italian football and Italian players tend to stay in Italy. We've got Tonali and Chiesa, I think is another player who plays on the wing. Do you think there is any chance of these players coming out of Serie A to the Premier League? In
this moment, I think it's difficult because what you're saying is really true. that Italian clubs are trying, and I speak about Italian top clubs like Juventus, now also Inter are working on it, also Lazio, Napoli, all the top clubs here in Italy are working to get players when they are in clubs like Cagliari, like Brescia. Cagliari was with Barella, Brescia have Tonali right now. They try to be like, what happens in Bundesliga with Bayern Munich, with Borussia Dortmund, when they have a young talent, German talent, they go to sign him immediately to not lose him going to Premier League or going to Real Madrid, to Barcelona. So it's normal. The same is happening here because we are speaking about a different Italian football, I think, in the last 2 or 3 years, like thinking about Inter, thinking about Lazio. 2 years ago, they had the not good teams. So Juventus were going to win every year easy here in Italy. Now is another world because, Inter has a fantastic manager like Antonio Conte, Lazio have a fantastic project. Also, many teams are working to also be European club and not just Italian clubs as their idea. And I think when you speak about Federico Chiesa, Juventus are working strongly on him since 1 year. They are speaking with his dad, they are speaking with his agent, because Italian clubs, they can arrive before on this player. And the players now, they know they can also play Champions League with Inter, they can play Champions League with Lazio. It's something different. 2 years ago, 3 years ago was not like this. So you can wonder, Tonali, okay, he can go to the Premier League. But in this moment, I think it's difficult because also the player can think to stay here in Italy. And now with coronavirus, you have to add also this in the impact of coronavirus, because in this summer, I think it's difficult. A young guy is going to leave Italy to go to another country, to another life in this kind of world. It's easier for you to choose, okay, I play in Brescia, it's so close from Milano, it's 30 minutes from Milano, okay, I go to Inter or I go to Juventus, it's normal, or I go to AC Milan, it's normal because you can have a normal way to get the top club. Then it's possible he will go to other clubs. I'm speaking about Tonali because I am really in love with him as a player.
I like him too, yeah.
yes. I think he's really fantastic. And he has the Premier League style. But I have to say, if I think about Manchester United, I think Federico Chiesa would be perfect. In this moment, I don't have news about Manchester United working on him, but for sure they have scouted him on last year. He's doing something fantastic with Fiorentina on last years. And I think he's a Premier League player. He's a Premier League player. He's strong. He has skills. He scores. So he is the Italian national team important player. So I see him to a top level. And the same for Zaniolo, the midfielder of Roma. He now is injured, but he will be a top player too. We have many young players here in Italy having a fantastic way to become really top players. They are young now, but I think for Premier League will not be easy. Also because Italian clubs are doing different prices in this moment. If you think Liverpool signed Alisson for a fee in 3 years ago, now it's impossible. If you think to sign Szczesny from Juventus, you have to spend 70 million euro, 80 million euro. So it's so different, the transfer market for Italian clubs, because they are stronger in this moment.
Yeah, I suppose it's a bit like young English players like Wan-Bissaka or a Declan Rice. Why would they not go to Serie A? And it's the same explanation, isn't it? It's easier to stay in the country that you are and develop your career than it is to go somewhere else and take a risk. But we would certainly like some of these young Italian players to come over. We'll just do a couple more on the Italian league, and then I want to talk a bit about your day-to-day working. And I know there's a lot of people be interested in that. But just on Italy, we've had Alexis Sanchez go to Inter, Ashley Young Inter, Lukaku Inter, and Chris Smalling on loan at Roma, doing fantastic at the moment. Do you see Sanchez and Smalling in in Serie A next season? I mean, Smalling's done very, very well.
I think Roma will try to keep Smalling 1 year more. They are working about it. They were convinced that Smalling can stay for next season. Then match by match, match after match, also Chris Smalling were having a fantastic season, and they understood Manchester United can think, okay, we call him back and we can keep him or we can sell him, because it was a simple loan, no buy option for him. So in this moment, I think Chris Smalling has been this year one of the best center back in Serie A. Really, I was really surprised, because I think in Manchester United in last years he was not so considered as an important player. So when he arrived here, on one of the last days of the transfer market, it was seeming like, okay, we need a center back. We go for Smalling, one of the last ones, and it was fantastic. Really, it was a surprise. He's having a good season with AS Roma. So I think in this moment, he's not sure he's going to continue in Serie A. When I think to Alexis Sanchez, I am sure he will be back to Manchester United because he had many injuries again here with Inter. He was not lucky because he started to do something good. He had 2 good matches at the start of the season in September with Inter. When Conte was going to play him also as a starter, he had a terrible injury and he had to stay recovering for 3 months. So in this moment, I think it's impossible Inter will buy Alexis Sanchez. He will be back to Manchester United. For Smalling, I think Manchester United want Smalling back and want to decide his future, not keeping him at AS Roma for 1 year more. They have to speak with the player because Smalling wants to play. It's normal. We will have the Euro on next year and Smalling wants to be part of it. Southgate spoke about him so good when he was playing with Roma. So Smalling, I think, will not have the risk. I come back to Premier League, to Manchester United, I don't play. So he wants to play and we'll speak about the club about it, with the club about it. With many players from Premier League to Serie A is becoming something normal because our clubs always try to get some loans from Manchester United, as you know, but also from other clubs like Arsenal for Mkhitaryan. So it's normal. You asked me about another player, I don't remember. It was Sanchez.
No. We just spoke about Sanchez this morning. Another player that did just pop into my head when you were talking about Smalling being one of the best centre backs in Serie A. Koulibaly is a player that United were looking at last summer. We've heard a lot of Italian outlets talking about him over the last couple of months. Do you think Koulibaly's time at Napoli is coming towards the end? I don't think he would come to Manchester United. I don't think we would be interested, but maybe Manchester City.
2 years ago, Manchester United was the club who made the most important bid to Napoli for Koulibaly. It was like 80 million euro, and Napoli refused it. For Koulibaly, it's the same we said for top clubs because Napoli president De Laurentiis always think of his top players like Koulibaly and like others. They have many good players. He say, okay, if you want my players, you have to pay. If you don't pay what I say, the players stay here. It's the same for Allan. The Brazilian midfielder 1 year ago was so close to join Paris Saint-Germain, and he asked 80 million euro for Allan. Paris Saint-Germain with 70 million euro. Okay, we can go, we can spend. Nothing to do. Napoli want their money. If you pay, okay, you get the player. If you don't, it's impossible. I see many are speaking about Newcastle. I think the player would never accept this kind of destination. It's normal. Newcastle are going to have an ambitious project. I hope for them, but in this moment, it's impossible to think a player like Koulibaly to join this kind of club. I think if he will leave Napoli, it will be for a top club. So I think, as you say, in this moment, Manchester United are not going to spend 100 million euro for a centre back. Is something impossible, and I think he can leave Napoli if someone with this money. At this moment, President De Laurentiis, president of Napoli, always said, "I want the right money for the player," and the same for Fabian Ruiz. So he's another important player Napoli has. So in this moment, if you want these players, you have to pay, and no one arrived with this kind of bid. So I am not sure Koulibaly will leave Napoli next summer.
Do you think that one of the things I was going to ask was we were talking about it a bit at the start about clubs, big clubs maybe do swap deals, but the smaller clubs that have decent players, but have good players, but they need to sell to survive. Do you think that, I mean, I don't know the financial situation of a Lazio or a Napoli, but you look at Lazio with Milinkovic-Savic, Napoli with a Koulibaly, and other clubs around the, Atletico Madrid maybe. Do you think that there are going to be clubs that have to sell cheap good players like that situation?
I think no, because Lazio and Napoli are the clubs who have the best financial situation here in Italy. Napoli every year goes to sell one player and they buy the same number of players they need, and they don't spend €1 more they had from selling players. So they have a perfect financial situation. And, Napoli was starting from the second division like 10 years ago, and they've gone to have a fantastic work also in Champions League, also in Europe, not just here in Italy. So in this moment, I think Napoli can have this kind of mentality, as I told you, for Koulibaly, for Fabian Ruiz, for Allan. They want their money and they can ask like this because they have a perfect financial situation. Lazio is the same. If you think about Lazio, they have many fantastic players. We speak about Milinkovic-Savic, we speak about Luis Alberto, we speak about Ciro Immobile. They have also a good centre back with Acerbi, who is having a top season. But Lazio most paid players in last 10 years was Correa, a good player, Argentinian striker. They paid 14 million euro. 14 million euro, the most paid players. So Milinkovic-Savic was paid like 10 million euro. Luis Alberto was paid like 3 million euro. Immobile was paid 8 million euro from Sevilla in Spain. So they have a fantastic sporting director who is Iglitare. He was a striker here in Italy and now he's a sporting director. And he's looking at players like Felipe Anderson. Now you have him in Premier League and with West Ham. They found him for like 7-8 million euro and they sold for 30 million euro. So they have a fantastic mentality and they can ask for their players to have an enormous price, because for Milinkovic-Savic, you know, last summer, I think if someone were going to put like 100 million euro, Lazio were going to sell him. Also to Manchester United, to Paris Saint-Germain. Manchester United never made a bid for Milinkovic-Savic on last summer. And the only club interested was Paris Saint-Germain. But Lazio always asked 100 million euro for Milinkovic. Now he's had a fantastic, but really terrific season here with Lazio. Lazio are going to try to win the Scudetto. They are having something surprising here in Italy in Serie A. And I know the president of Lazio, who is Lotito, and he's a fantastic person. But when he has to sell some players, he's really terrible. Yes. He's really terrible, but his mentality is normal. I think it's good because he found Milinkovic-Savic for 10 million euro. And it was a crazy transfer story because he was in Fiorentina headquarters. He was going to sign his contract. Then Lazio called him, as I told you before about, here we go. Okay, he changed his mind and he can change everything. And he decided to go to Lazio. And they found this kind of player for 10 million euro. Now they are right to ask an important fee for a player of this level, because I think Milinkovic-Savic is really of another level for Italian football. Is the best midfielder here in Italy, for sure. The same for Luis Alberto, the Spanish midfielder. I see in Premier League, in La Liga, they are not speaking about him, but he's another good player. So in this moment, I think middle clubs are not going to include Lazio and Napoli. When I say middle clubs, I can say like Fiorentina with Chiesa. Yes, with Chiesa, they can go to ask 80 million euro 2 months ago. Now they can go to ask like 60 million euro, no more, I think.
Yeah, the strong will survive, won't they? And like you say, Lazio and Napoli are well run. One final thing on the Italy thing that just popped into my head is that Jesse Lingard at Manchester United has linked up with Mino Raiola. Now, our fan opinion of that is that why would Jesse Lingard, who's a Manchester United youth player, link up with Mino Raiola, who is, I don't know what his relationship with Manchester United. Do you think Lingard moving to Italy was the plan there, or do you think that would not happen?
I think when a player goes with Mino Raiola, it's because he wants to change the club. That's for sure. When you get Mino Raiola as your agent, you want to work with your club and you want to go out. So I think that's the mentality in this moment for Lingard. It's something respectful because it's possible he wants to change his club after many years at Manchester United. I think, yes, Italy can be a possibility in this moment. I have to be honest, I don't have news about Lingard in talks with some Italian clubs. But when you get Raiola, you are really working to change your club and to have a move. So I think it's possible. Yes, Mino Raiola is working so much here in Italy, and it's a strong possibility, but not just in Italy. You know, he has many relationships also. For example, Borussia Dortmund is a club who's working so good with Mino Raiola. So I can't exclude he can go also to Bundesliga or to La Liga, but also to Serie A. We will see. But I think he will move on next summer. That yes.
I want to talk a little bit about you. We were talking before we came on air about I used to follow Di Marzio. Well, I do still follow Di Marzio, but Di Marzio had a very good summer in 2016 with Mourinho coming in and Mino Raiola, and he was very good in relation to the Zlatan deal and the Pogba deal. And then I started to notice you probably the summer after when you were doing the 2017 Liverpool, and now you are just the one that everybody United fans are replying. What's going to happen with Bruno and Sancho? You're relatively young. I think you're in your 20s. Is that right?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Your age, you are.
Yeah, 27.
27. So what's your sort of what's your career path to where you've got today? Because people will be interested in how you've done this.
Yeah. Yes, many are asking me how you did it, and it was really passion because I started when I was 16, and I am from Napoli. My city is Napoli, and I am living in Milano since 10 years, but I am from Napoli. And I started working for a website when I was 16. I was going to the school, and when I was back to home, I was always going to writing for a website, and writing and try to understand how this world was going to work, about transfer market, but not about just transfer market, about football in general. And then I have always been a big football fan, really. So I always was following about football, and I started to write for this website, small website here in Italy. And then I moved to Milan 2 years later when I was 18. And here in Milano, I met with Gianluca. I had the possibility to work with him for 1 year on his website as collaboration with him. And I had a chance then after to go to Sky Sport, to have a stage with Sky Sport, to speak with them, to understand if I can go in for 3 months, and then we see. And it was so good because I was so young. It was like 19, but here in Milano, they are going to try to give many possibilities, opportunities to young people like me. And I started with Sky Sport, and that's my career, because when I started with Sky Sport here in Italy is the number one, as I told you before. As TV here in Italy, as sport is the number one. So it was a dream for me, and it is a dream for me to work in this world. But I started so young, as I told you before, on a website, and then with Sky Sport as TV. And then I understood social media can be the future, because I see many people asking me, and many other journalists were going to say to me, why you are losing time speaking with people on Twitter, speaking with people on Instagram, speaking with people on Facebook. You answer to everyone. You try to give news also on social media. Concentrate yourself just on Sky Sport, just on you. And I was thinking, no, I think it's correct to give something to the fans. We work thanks to the fans. It's the same for the football players. They work because they have the fans in football. And the same is for journalists, because if we speak about transfers with a good mentality, we can go with a great relationship with fans. I don't want to be like a god. For people, they say, okay, it's impossible to speak with him. I am part of you. I try to be like this. I think it's possible because I'm younger than other journalists who started this career at Sky Sport. But in this moment, I feel like this, and it's the same for me. As I started, also now, I feel I was one of the fans before being a journalist. I was a football fan, and I was dreaming about knowing about transfers. I was young, and I was dreaming to know about top players in Italy. Now is my job, and I try to be part of the game also for the fans. So I started with Sky Sport, and I also started to do something on social media. Then, when you work with the top player as Gianluca, because Gianluca Di Marzio is really a top player. For me, he's one of the best journalists in the world. He made me understood how is this work. We have to start good relationship with agents, good relationship with sport directors. And we have a secret here in Italy. I think just in Spain, they do something similar. But when we have transfer market, like during the summer, in January, we spend all day from morning to the night around the city to meet people, to meet agents, to meet sporting directors, to go in restaurants, to go in hotels. Everywhere we can find someone, we go, we start to speak, we get some friends. And that's the way we can get the contacts. Because when you meet every day someone, some new people also, you can start to have a relationship, and they give you news. You can check news, you can see the news, because many times happened to me to see in some hotels Mino Raiola with Juventus sporting director. I remember when Pogba was going to join Manchester United, I spotted Mino Raiola with Fabio Paratici, the sporting director of Juventus, and it was like an enormous emotion for me because I was so young. But here in Milano, we have the secret that is, go in the hotels, go in the restaurant, go in the center of the city. You can meet someone, you call them, you get the contact. And that's why we started this work. We do this work every day because, as I told you, I call them also for their birthday. They call them for Christmas. And every time I can, I try to check with my news, and that's my job. I started with Sky Sport, and I continue to say I have to be part of the game, but also part of the fans, because the fans have to be respected always, in my mentality.
And what is very clear when you follow you on Twitter is that the amount of work you do is like it's morning till night. It's it's constant. You can be putting a tweet out at 7 o'clock in the morning or midnight. It is absolutely constant. But you clearly love the work as well.
Yes, you have to love this work. If you don't love this work, you can be a fantastic journalist, because this is another part of journalism. You have journalism writing, you have journalism going on TV, you have commenting the matches. But if you do something with transfer market, you have to love it. You have to be part of it. You don't have hours. Also, if you are going to have a dinner with your girlfriend, you have to know that if there is something, you have to speak with this person, and you can't lose any opportunity. If you want to have a relaxed life, okay, don't go with the transfer market, because I know many top journalists here in Italy, they tried for 1 week, 2 weeks, then they said, okay, it's impossible. I will be mad and I don't want it. I think you have to love it. Yes, because you don't have, as I told you, you don't have a plan of your day when there is transfer market. I can't say to my friend, okay, we meet in 2 hours. Okay, but it's possible I have to go to Inter headquarters because they are going to meet an agent. So I never know what is going to happen, and I love it, because I feel, I know for people who look from outside, like also my parents, they say, you are crazy, you are not going to survive with this kind of life. But I say, it's my passion. It's not just my work, my job. It's my passion to try to find many news, to give correct news. And really, when you see people happy for your news, as happened, you're speaking about Manchester United, it's normal, your channel is about Manchester United, and Bruno Fernandes last January, when I received the message, they told me, okay, it's done. You can go. It's totally done. We have paperwork. We are completing everything. You can go. And they said, okay. I was with my friend, and I told him, okay, I'm going to tweet. Here we go. I think Manchester United fans will explode. And really, see something like this, I think it's like for a player to, when they score a goal, an important goal in Champions League, it's the same thing. In my work, in my job, in my life, this is part of something fantastic. So I know people can say, you are crazy, you are doing a mad life, you are young, go out, by your summer, you can go to sea, you can go to party. Also, sometimes it's normal, you have to have a normal life. But the big part of my life is transfer market, and I love it, really.
It's very true. I mean, look, I'm a little bit older than you, probably quite a bit older to be fair, but you have football, and transfers are part of football, but when your football season's over, I remember the first year I did the United stand, I said, that's it, last game of the season, it's over. And someone messaged me and said, well, no, now we've got transfers. And then the transfers are as exciting, that summer is, in a totally different way. But it's fantastic. And I think what you do is you give that passion and excitement in the work that you do. And how do you feel knowing that you are, well, basically loved on social media? You are the sort of, I would say, the number one. And we spoke about why, because you always want to get it right and you're passionate about it. But how do you feel? Because we spoke about that before as well. Media, respect from the media is very different to respect from football fans. Football fans in some ways are harder to please, and you've managed to achieve that through the great work that you've done. How do you feel about that the love you get from the fans?
Really, I feel it's the most important thing in my work and in my job, really. And the part of my life is really important. I feel, yes, it's not easy to explicate with words, because it's something, as I told you, it's like scoring a goal. Every current news is like scoring a goal for me. It's the same for a striker when you go to the fence and you celebrate. It's the same thing. But it's not easy, because as I told you, many journalists, when I started to do social media work also, because when you do work on social media, this is not paid. For many years, I was working on myself on social media, but it was just passion, as I told you. No one told me, okay, I will pay you for doing a tweet or for doing a post on Instagram, nothing of this. It was my passion, and I said, okay, I want to share with people, not just with my channel. I want to be part of the game also with people. And as I told you, many journalists here in Italy were saying to me, why are you doing this? Concentrate on your life, do your work for Sky Sports and for your job. But okay, stop here. Social media are not important. Okay, you can post a photo with the Sky Sport microphone, okay, no more. But I always said, I want to have a relationship with the fans. I want to be part of the game with them, because I feel the future is here, is on social media. They are not going, in 10 years, they aren't going to see on papers or also on TV. Also here, but not just here, also on social media. I trust in social media. I trust also in YouTube, and I love your YouTube channel because you are doing a future work, not just a present work. So that's why I said I want to be part of this mentality also with the fans. And when I see their love, really, I think, okay, I sleep like 3 hours, 4 hours during some nights during the transfer market. I can have terrible days. I have some problems when I have to meet some of my friends or my girlfriend or something like this. But when you see the people feeling buzzing when you give a news, people happy, calling you, texting you, sending you videos like they are celebrating, it's impossible to explain to other people. It's something special because you see people happy just for a news, but you say, okay, I worked for something who is going to make people happy, and that's my win. Nothing more than money, really. I love when the people are happy with the news, when the people respect me. Also, when I say that the player is not going here, when they say you have been correct to not giving us just illusions, something like this, you are not selling us dreams. For me, this is important, to have the respect. And I have to say thank you to Manchester United fans here, but all over the world, really, not just Manchester United. I have to be honest, Manchester United are fantastic. Fans are fantastic because they always text me every day, every night, also on Twitter, on Instagram, everywhere. But for me, receiving affect from any other fan is important, from any club. Also because I am not fan of any club, I am fan of Watford. I want to say in exclusive to you because I was in love with trading a goal on last minute against Brighton. I fall in love and I play on Football Manager and on FIFA with Watford. So that's my team. I am not fan. I am just working. But really, thank you to Manchester United fans and to all the fans that are going to look at this interview.
And you're following in good footsteps because we did have Troy Deeney on the channel about 3 weeks ago. So there you go.
Yes.
And I like what you said there as well, because it's not always about here we go, this is going to happen. It's also about this is not going to happen. And then you stop the dream happening. Like, you know, we were talking about Thomas Partey at the start. And if you were to put information out, you know, he's staying at Atletico Madrid, well, Arsenal fans and United fans would then go, that's not happening. And it's that credibility and respectability that's really important. Just one question. What is your favorite transfer? We've had lots of favorite tweets of yours, but what is the one that jumps out as you as being your favorite one that you've ever tweeted out?
I can say 2 transfers. The first one, important for me, when I started my career with transfer market, my job with transfer market, was about Mauro Icardi. The striker Mauro Icardi. He was playing for Sampdoria, and I am really in love with this story because I met his agent for the first time when Icardi was at Barcelona young team in La Masia, in the academy of Barcelona. And this guy who then became the agent of Icardi was a guy who was working in La Masia, in the restaurant of La Masia, an Italian guy. And he told me, I want to try to become a football agent. I want to try. You have to help me. You have to help me. And I did something for him. I keep in contact with him because, as I told you, I always try to give respect to everyone, not just to the best agents. Also to everyone I can see is respectful to me. I give respect. And then he really became the agent of Icardi. And he started to be an agent. Then he got Icardi in his team. And he was so young. He had my age. So he told me, I need some help to come in Italy. Okay. He came here in Italy to Sampdoria. He did something fantastic. And he told me, okay, I have to say you, Icardi is going to join Inter Milan. And it was my big news, my biggest news in this moment, my first top news. And I said, okay, thank you. You will be part of my life forever because I felt this like my start, really, my first goal, as I told you. I scored for the first time and it will be unforgettable. After, I have to say Bruno Fernandes. It's impossible not to say Bruno Fernandes because really on last summer, I was feeling a bit sad when people were going to tell me, Fabrizio, why you don't speak about Bruno Fernandes? Why you don't say, yes, Bruno Fernandes is coming, going Portugal. They say he's going to fly today to Manchester to sign his contract. And I was feeling sad because I don't want to say something is not true to the people. So I was saying, okay, I have to tell them they are not going to sign Bruno Fernandes. It's not true because I am not working, as I told you, as sporting director for Manchester United or for any other club. I just try to give you what is happening now. And that's the reality. So I can't speak about Bruno if they are not going to sign Bruno. Then when in January I received the message, they told me, as I told you before, okay, Bruno is going to fly tomorrow, everything done, here we go. I said, okay, this is big. This is so important. I was feeling like having a bomb in my hands because people were buzzing and it was the right news in the right moment. I was in a bar in this moment in the center of Milano. I was working, I was having calls, and I received this message. And this news was really, really unforgettable for me. So yes, this one. And I just want to add also about Antonio Conte to Chelsea. I remember about it because I worked also about it with the Guardian, who I'm collaborating with the Guardian. And when I gave them the news of Antonio Conte as new Chelsea manager, was not easy to get this news because Conte was working as Italian national team manager, you know. So it was not easy to understand it was true, but we had it confirmed, and I was happy. The top 3 is this one.
It's great that Bruno's in there. And my final question, and we'll thank you after this, is, and Manchester United, since we last won the title in 2012, we've spent a lot of money. We've had a lot of managers. Ed Woodward's been there in charge of that for that time. Have you noticed over the last few years a change in Manchester United? And the reason I ask that is Mino Raiola said in January, I wouldn't want to sell them any player because they'll ruin it. But we as United fans would probably agree with him a little bit that we've made bad signings. But in the last year, I think there seems to be a bit of a change in Manchester United.
I agree with you. I think something is changing on last year, on last month, because I think Manchester United transfers mentality has changed and is going to change. Fewer players, but with either quality. They need quality players. I think they bought many players of normal level on last year's, not of level of Manchester United. And here in Italy happened the same with AC Milan, with Inter also some years ago. Top clubs, historical clubs, having normal players. And you can't accept it because when you speak about Manchester United, when you speak about Arsenal, Inter, Milan, this kind of teams, you need to speak about top players, always. This is part of the history of football. And so I think now something is different because you see, we're speaking about Sancho. They signed Bruno Fernandes, who is a fantastic player. They understand players like Rashford can become players of top level. So they are going to also Wan-Bissaka. I think it was a fantastic deal. Also Maguire, he needs time, but he will be always stronger in this kind of team. So they were working about Haaland, and it was a top deal. It was not easy because the player preferred to go to Borussia Dortmund to play, to be a starter always. But you see Manchester United targeting the right players right now. Young players, good players, top level players, and not normal players. Manchester United needs also less transfers, but with higher quality. They need higher quality, and I think this is the way they are going to go, and that's normal. When you go with this kind of mentality, I think it's just a matter of time, but Manchester United will be back where they deserve, so to be one of the best in Premier League. Because it's sad when we say clubs like Manchester United, or as I told you here in Italy, but it's happening everywhere to see this kind of club not at the best level. But we need it, and I think we will be going to see Manchester United back at this level. Yes.
Well, I just want to say, United Report links are in the video description on Twitter and on the website as well. They've been in association with us setting up this interview today. And for me personally, it's been a dream come true to speak to somebody who I really respect and could speak to for hours. And I know our viewers are going to really appreciate having you on, Fabrizio. So thank you so much for your time coming on today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a big pleasure to speak with you and to speak with the channel. And thank you also to United Reports and to everyone, to Manchester United fans and to all the fans that are looking to our interview. Thank you again. And here we go, because it will be a different transfer market, but we will have fun. Don't worry.
And you can follow, I'm sure everybody's following Fabrizio already on Twitter, but you can follow him at Fabrizio Romano on Twitter. And we will be back, of course, very soon with some more stuff. But smash a like, subscribe if you're new, and we'll speak to you soon.